Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This time we're gonna discuss the bottom 5 non-core infantry in 9th Age. So basically this is a guide on how to waste points on expensive foot sluggers. And yeah, it's a bit of a mix of different types of infantry, different roles. But yeah, it's also generally infantry that you don't see that often on the field or that people have quite strong opinions about. So let's just get into the list. My number 5 for this is going to be the Sylvan elves pathfinders. So them being in number 5, they are still the most viable, I think, from all the choices that I put together here. Um, yeah, they are quite pricey. They have a low damage output with only one shot per model. And it still stays at strength 3 shot. So basically, they're really good at low resilience, high value troops. However, a lot of stuff is quite good at low resilience, high armor stuff. So I think their prime target would be the Dread Elf Dread Knights, for example, that are like 60 points per piece. And then the Sylvan Master Archers, they can choose to get +2 armor penetration on their shots. Basically, they go to armor penetration 2 then, or armor penetration 3 at short range, I believe, so within 15 inches. If you combine that with an advance of 5 inches, march of 10 inches, you do threat like 25 inches away if you want to end up 15 inches away from the enemy. Whether you want that is still a bit of a different question though, because also in combat these guys are not that good. You do have your Sylvan Blades, so you do get an extra attack, you do get AP1. However, you still just strike with Strength 3 um, without a lot of bonuses, and your resilience is only 3. You don't have any armor. They only have hard target 1, which surprised me actually, to be honest, because the chameleons in Story and Ancients, I believe, they have hard target 2, and I would have expected actually for Pathfinders to have the same. Because with hard target 1, they just drop as easily as Mongrel Raiders, for example, and then the Mongrel Raiders still have a 6 of armor save. Yeah, it's just an expensive unit. I do believe that it has some uses within the list, especially in terms of shooting. In Sylvan Elves, you have quite a broad range of different types of shooting. With the Sentinels having poison shooting, the core archers just filling up your core points with shooting, and these Pathfinders really being the best of the best, basically, in terms of shooting. I don't know if people regularly use the +2 to hit. It does make sure that opponents can't really run mages anymore outside of units. But I feel that this is all still a legacy kind of thing where it used to be quite common for a wizard master or just any kind of type of wizard to run out on its own and not be in a unit, not even have a mage bunker really. But that was also because of the line of sight rules back in the days, with a lot more blocking terrain, with forests that you could only look into like 1.5 inch or so. That's really old days of Warhammer, actually. And maybe this +2 to hit is still a legacy to that. Because 2 +2 hit is quite reasonable. So I think you only take it against stuff that doesn't have any armor at all. And then it might be worth it, but even then you're paying 190 points for 5 strength 3 shots. That is quite bad, I would say. But then again, maybe some Sylvan Elf players can convince me otherwise. In my number 4 spot, so a little bit worse even than the Pathfinders in my view, are the Kingdom of Equitane brigands. In themselves, they are not even that bad, I think, because you have 10 models, also with longbows. So here you're paying 175 points for twice the amount of shots. You also have the same range. You also have strength 3. You only don't have the special rule of +2 AP or +2 to hit. You also have resilience 3, no armor, and hard target 1. Basically, it's not even too bad of a unit. However, being skirmisher, it means that your footprint suddenly gets quite big. And you have victim stats, so that means that anything that can charge into you will gladly do so. And the only thing you have to protect yourself is your longbow, basically. So if you have anything that doesn't really care about your longbow, so any unit that is big enough not to care, any unit that is fast enough so that you cannot stand a shoot, or any unit that has armor enough so that your shots don't really matter anyway. To any of those, it doesn't really matter that you are there, and you basically just provide an avenue of attack for your opponent. The big footprint with March 8 also means that you cannot get out of a situation, so that part of your footprint will always remain close to where you used to be. So you can also not really make space for some of your knight units that might want to go in the place of the brigands once you have deployed them. So yeah, I don't like them. Just too big of a footprint, too low mobility for that footprint. And I think that's also the reason why you don't see them in Kingdom of Equitane. And then we continue, and this is once again actually Kingdom of Equitane. So normally I try to avoid this, but I believe peasant crusaders are a reason in themselves to make make the Kingdom of Equitane appear twice in the list. So basically they are upgraded peasant levy in the sense that they have an offensive more, I believe, even. They also have devastating charge, +1 attack, and they have hatred. Yeah, when do you want actually +1 attack on something with a profile this bad? I mean, they are impetuous, so I believe that you reroll failed charges with them. However, you have advance 4, and well, March 8 doesn't really matter there. So you're not going to be that reliable in charging. You could run them in Horde, then you are looking at, if you field them like 8 wide, 3 deep, then that's, well, 3 times 8, 24 attacks. If you play them with paired weapons, then you actually go to 32 attacks with hatred. That doesn't even sound too bad. However, it's only offensive 4 by that point, strength 3, AP 0. And defense-wise, they have resilience 3 and a 6 of armor save. And they do have, I thought they had the blessing maybe with the sacred reliquary. And then it gets to a point where for the points that you pay, they are quite decent. However, also within the army, it doesn't really give you any benefit. But that is also what we talked about earlier with the peasant levy. And then, yeah, the peasant levy, basically in the army, they could still fulfill a role where you play them as an anvil. And then the peasant crusaders, you could also do that because you have bodyguard. But yeah, if you really want an anvil, just use your core points for that, basically, because damage output of this unit is still just bad. I mean, even if you go for the 32 attacks on the charge, because you have to pull the charge off there, you're gonna do 16 hits, then you have hatred with the other 16 attacks, so then you go to 24 hits, and then against resilience 3 you would score 12 wounds without any AP, so against normal infantry you would score 8 wounds. And that would be your ideal situation. It's not a dedicated combat unit in that sense. I mean, with defensive 2, anything is going to hit you on a 3+. With resilience 3, anything is going to wound you quite easily. And you only have light armor, so you're not going to have a save anymore left there. So even if you manage to inflict 8 wounds, I believe that a lot of units will still win the combat in that case. Yeah, you do have bodyguard, discipline 7. I mean, the list just continues of stuff that is not that great. Yeah, I don't like them. Then we will step away from the Kingdom of Equitane to go to Highborn elves, because I think queensguard definitely deserve a spot in the top 2 actually, of the worst infantry, non-core infantry in 9th Age. It's basically, in my view, Lothern Sea Guard without their amazing rule that they can stand and shoot if someone else is being charged. So I don't understand this unit. I get that if you pay like for 6 models, then basically it's a bolt thrower. Um, because, well, basically you're paying like 160 points for 6 shots with strength 4 AP1. So a bolt thrower would give you strength 4 AP2 with a little bit higher point cost with less 8 points, however, with doubled range. Nearly double the range at least. But then again, a longbow here hits on the 2+ and a bolt thrower on the 3+. So basically, they shoot maybe a little bit better than a bolt thrower. However, they have only resilience 3. Yeah, it could be that actually they are shooting wise a little bit better than a bolt thrower. However, they do have flaming attacks always. That's an advantage and also a disadvantage on a bolt thrower. You can also still single shot if you want, negating the armor of the enemy. Yeah, so basically for a very small unit, I could still see a use for these guys. However, if you're gonna take 20 models of these guys, I wonder why you would do that. Because basically, I don't understand what this unit should be good at. I mean, you have moonlight arrows that you want to use, and then it's basically a shooting unit. That's fine. You have 1 shot per model. You hit on a 2+, it's going to be long range. So you hit on a 3+. If you move, you don't have quick to fire, so it's going to be a 4+. 28 points per model to only hit half of the time, unless you're static. If you're static, then well, your opponent should be able to play around that with either soft or hard cover, or just by throwing a magic missile your way. Yeah, I don't know. So then maybe you should get it out of something else than only your shooting. So they can be armed with a spear, and I think if you buy them, you should definitely give them a spear, because otherwise you find it with a hand weapon without a shield, and that doesn't make too much sense. So then you fight with a spear, and then you're basically as good as a spear elf because you have the same strength, same agility. You have 1 offensive higher. You have the same offensive actually as Seaguard, and Seaguard also shoots, and it comes out of your core points, and these guys don't. Yeah, I just don't get it. Because in the situations where it would make a difference whether you have Seaguard or Queensguard in terms of their damage output with shooting, that is quite specific. Then your target has to have regeneration, I think, because then with flaming attacks you can turn that off. And by the time that the enemy comes towards you and charges anything close to you, then I think the Seaguard rule of being able to stand and shoot for something else close to them really makes a difference here. And if the rules had been reversed, then these guys would have had the stand and shoot rule of the Seaguard instead of the Seaguard. Then they would have an advantage over Seaguard, but as it is, I don't think they have any advantage within the army. And also externally, still just resilience 3. They don't have any. They don't even have a rule like skirmish hard target to keep them a bit more alive. They don't have any rules to ignore any cover or stuff like that. I just don't get the unit, but maybe that's just my fault. However, the cream of the cream, the creme de la creme, is gonna be for me the Warriors of the Dark Gods Chosen. Yeah, so this is gonna be maybe a bit of a longer explanation, and some people still like Chosen, maybe. Basically, for me, it boils down to Chosen getting a bit of an upgrade over Warriors. However, there's a very big downgrade on Chosen compared to Warriors, which is that they cost twice as much for 1 model in order to get a second wound on your model. That is to me is a short summary of what is happening here. So generally, warrior units already hit hard. They hit maybe not hard enough for every situation, and that is a bit of a problem together with fearless, because that means that if you run into a situation where the opponent strikes harder than you would like, then you're basically just a bit screwed. That means that, well, either you strike hard enough, or you have to strike a bit harder. In that case, you could opt for chosen. However, chosen have a very big mark on the head to be shot. And also, you are spending more points into less models, because even though you get more hit points on single models, you don't get more ranks. So you have more choices of losing stat fast, actually. So with chosen, you have a maximum of 10 models. With normal warriors, you have a maximum of 25 models, 30 models, something like that. And I also put a comparison on the bottom right. If you take 8 chosen with great weapons, then you're going to end up with 8 times 3, 24 attacks. If you have 16 warriors with great weapons and a banner and a zealot's banner, you will actually, if you deploy them, um, you would have to deploy them 6 wide. So you have 6 wide, which is going to be 12 attacks for the front rank, 12 attacks for the back rank. It's also 24 attacks. And then you have the same amount of wounds. You are a bit more broad, that is true. However, you do have ranks, and actually, if you're 6 wide, then you have 1 rank, and you still have 4 models left. So, in order to remove your second rank, or at least the stat fast that your second rank could provide, the enemy would have to do 6 wounds. And if you do 6 wounds on your chosen, then it's not going to go that well anymore, because 6 wounds means that you already lose 9 attacks with your chosen, whilst the warriors, if you take 6 wounds, then you're only going to lose 4 attacks. So that's also a bit of a bummer with the chosen. The fact that for every wound, every 2 wounds that you get, you're going to lose 3 attacks, and the warriors' first wounds that you lose, you don't lose any attacks at all. So yeah, I just don't really see an advantage of chosen over regular warriors, because also suddenly any weapon that deals multiple wounds is just twice as effective against chosen than it is against regular warriors. Um, so yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? Also, in addition, still, I believe Master of Battle is often quite useless. You could go for paired weapons on chosen, then you don't get the extra attack in your last rank even. So yeah, it would have been nice if they just had allowed the chosen to perform all of their attacks from the second rank, because then paired weapons would make sense. Um, right now, you can take the spiked shield. You go to defensive 7, which is quite nice, because then you're being hit only on 5 up by offensive 3 troops. However, if you go for that, then you want ranks, and then, well, chosen don't have ranks. Yeah, I don't know. To me, conceptually, this just it's not an upgrade for me to get 2 hit points on my models. Not under any you would have to pay me points to make me take a model that has 2 hit points per model instead of 1 hit point per model, because suddenly there's just so much stuff that is way more scary to you. Like flamethrowers, they hurt you a lot more. Any character with multiple wounds hurts you a lot more. Any unit with ranks, because you're no longer steadfast for days. If you want to use a battle shrine, then these guys are just the worst unit to put it in. I mean, sure, you get 1 offensive and defensive more, and an agility more. Agility is the only nice thing, because you can run them with Wrath, and then you go to agility 6, which means that they have a higher agility than elves, so that they can strike at the same time as charging elves, and they can strike before elves if they charge. However, if you place some core warriors with Wrath, you go to agility 4, so if you charge, you go to agility 5, so if you charge, then same argument can be made. So yeah, just forget about Chosen. Just I don't understand. I also don't understand that a champion in a unit of warriors has discipline 9 and Chosen have discipline 8. I think it has to do with the fact that the champion gets an extra discipline in Warriors of the Dragons if he wears Hellforged armor, or if he has part of Path of the Favorite, one of the both. And then you could get to discipline 10 with a champion, then that is quite excessive. However, I mean, discipline 8 on Chosen, whilst you have discipline 8 on Warriors and discipline 9 on a Warrior champion, doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, so I don't know. Chosen, it's just a no-go for me. It's the worst unit you can pick if you can pick Warriors. And Warriors are generally viewed as not the best unit in core. Because, well, they're fearless, so they have to punch above their weight in order to make it up. And then they're not that mobile, so they often get in impractical places. Unless you run them a Helm, but that's another discussion. Yeah, so I hope you liked this video, and well, let me know whether you found some infantry that is even less useful on the field. Maybe it's some infantry that I never encountered during my 9th Age days, and that would explain why I never encountered it actually. So I would be enthusiastic to hear your responses, and yeah, this is going to be the video for now. So see you next week.